Hi there, welcome to Gheeotine's Build Showcase. I'm Gheeotine, and this week we're continuing our project to see what we can do with PCs that we can get our hands on for free. Machines that most people would see fit to throw away, and not only can you save it from going to e-waste piles, but you can turn them into modest but capable gaming machines. Last time, while rare, we illustrated that there are purpose-built gaming PCs that people will give away. While using older hardware, we showed that even these machines can play modern titles and have viable upgrade paths. But at the end of the video, I said that we would next look to machines that gamers often look past. Office computers, business machines, basic office computers that most people see as underpowered and fit to run nothing more than web browsers and spreadsheets. But where most people see these meager machines, I see people's entry-level gaming PCs. And to that, we turn to the subject of today's focus. Literally given to me by a local business that was looking to offload it, we have this Dell Optiplex 9010. Sporting a 3rd gen i5-3490, a default 8GB of DDR3 RAM, and a 250GB hard drive, this is definitely a computer that, in its base form, seems like it wants to fulfill that stereotypical office machine role. But with a very few simple upgrades, this machine can very much make a young gamer happy. What's even better is this could almost be described as an all-in-one portable setup, coming with its own stand and a transport handle with a screen attached, all of which only needing minimal desk space. That monitor also helps us out in a small respect. This 19-inch screen comes with a resolution of 1600 by 900, meaning we don't need as much horsepower to render a good-looking game. The base that holds everything together also does wonders for cable management. So let's take a deeper look at the internals now and see what we can do to upgrade this machine at minimum expense, and then see what games we can throw at it. First is the default 8GB of RAM. Let's double that from 2 sticks of 4GB to 4 sticks. Next up is that hard drive. Let's replace the spinning disk with a far snappier SSD of the same size. Migrating from an HDD to an SSD will do so much for making almost any old machine feel new and modern by not having to wait for exorbitant load times. Finally, let's add a graphics card. Some may mock it, and rightfully so, but the GT 1030 is still a halfway decent graphics card, especially when you take a few factors into account. First, it takes weight off the CPU, freeing up processing power for other tasks. Second is the price. For the right value, any GPU can be decent, and this one was the best price of all. Free. Yes, this is the same GT 1030 that we got from the desktop last time around. The same one that was able to play Dirt 3 at an average of 90 FPS on high settings, and very much handled other titles like Team Fortress 2, Half-Life 2, and Fallout New Vegas. Finally, before moving on to performance, let's just cover what the upgrades cost. The RAM frequently goes for about $10 on eBay, the SSD was about $12, and the GPU again was free, taken from the aforementioned salvage desktop. For less than $25, we may be off to the races. So, after installing Windows 10 and a handful of games to see the capabilities, let's see what this machine can do. Starting with what was the most amusing test, we have Call of Duty World War II. First impressions were optimistic with the game opening up, and I was greeted with a stable 60 frames per second. However, the first firefight revealed a landscape of pop-in and warping landscapes. Likely an issue with the GT 1030 only having 2GB of DDR4 RAM. Then again, Activision isn't exactly renowned for good optimization, especially with their latest titles. And while you probably could play the game like this, it would definitely be a challenge with the scenery frequently shifting in and out of existence. Shifting to another shooter, and the king of optimization, Half-Life 2 opened up with a rock-solid 60 FPS. That is until I turned off VSync. After that, the game occasionally rocketed up to over 300 FPS, but also settled frequently around a third of that. Honestly, cap the frames to 100, and you'd still be doing great. Cult of the Lamb was excellent. As is the usual when managing your village, it could dip to around 30 FPS, but like to hover between 50 and 60 after the CPU sorted the tasks of your believers. Launching the Crusades in the dungeons would cause the frame rate to stumble a tad when entering a new room, but never went below 30, and always got back up to around 70 FPS or more once it stabilized, which never took more than a second. Dirt 3, once you got into a race, averaged around 160 frames per second on medium settings. Stable, speedy, and a blast to race across the desert. The bench test further validated that yes, this machine can game. Even with the opponents jostling for position and the snow getting kicked up along the track, 130 frames per second was the low. Going from amazing performance to reminding us of our limitations very quickly, Shadow of the Tomb Raider gave us the advice to stay humble. On the lowest graphical settings, we averaged around 35 FPS, with the low being 28. Again, humbling, but quite playable. So many people get caught up on thinking that they have to game on high settings or insane frame rates, forgetting that once you get into a game that has stable frames, low settings can be just as fun. But finally, can this Office Optiplex, used for nothing but browsing and spreadsheets, play Crysis? Yes. On low settings, Crysis Remastered dipped to 39 FPS when put under heavy load, but favored an average of around 50. And let's not forget, Crysis Remastered was made to be even more of a stressor on hardware than the original release, and we're playing it on an office computer. Part of me imagines people upgrading their work machines when the boss isn't looking now, because there are so many computers out there that with some rather inexpensive parts can play anything. Impressive, no? And trust me, I could have gone further with this. But as is, this machine could make someone very happy, and I'll see that it goes to someone who wants it. I'll be taking this machine, leaving in the upgrades, and giving this computer, along with the gaming desktop from last time with some hardware tweaks, and giving them to the Plattsburgh Card and Collectible Show charity raffle to benefit JCEO, a local outreach and support organization. If you are interested in either of these machines, you may very well be able to get your hands on them if you are in the area on May 17th. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some computers to reset. Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end. Remember that I give away Steam keys with my regular weekly uploads, and all you have to do to enter is leave a comment and have contact info on your YouTube profile. But as always, thanks for watching and keep your head on your shoulders.